Hello and welcome back to the She Gallery Show. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being with us, Christina.
Thank you.
Today we have with us a very special guest, Christine Fontenelle, who is a psychotherapist specialized in art therapy, movement, and dance therapy, and you are watching us live on CAN TV, and you're welcome to join us throughout the segment by calling us at 312-738-1060. That phone number is also found on the bottom of the screen where it will be throughout the segment. Please remember that you can always contact us through our website at sharinghisenergygallery.net. You can always email us and call us, and you can always reach our guests through our website as well. We are going to get started with today's segment first by explaining why we have a fire hydrant in front of us, because you might be confused. Yes, this show will be on fire. However, today we are helping out our friend Joe Miller. Joe Miller, who is not with us today, but was supposed to be with us today. He is a veteran, and he's been working really hard on putting together this fundraiser to help the Amazon in Brazil, the rainforest, the rescue rainforest.
Yeah.
So we look forward to helping him out. We'll share more information about that here in Chicago in Pilsen, September 21st. Please stay tuned and find out how you can help. If you show up to this art exhibition, September 21st, you will see this same fire hydrant painted by me, and
awesome.
You will be able to help out with our friends down at, everywhere throughout the world. There's a lot going on right now, and there's only so much we could do, but to know that we're able to help, it means a lot. So Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Christina, so much for being with us.
Yes,
and you know a lot about helping people. So first, we're going to start with a quote. I was telling Christina that when I was in high school, we used to start our English classes with quotes, and then I continued that on for the rest of my life. And people probably don't even know that, but I think it's a really great day to start your day. And I asked Christina to share with me one of her favorite quotes. And she said, "For God did not give me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control." 2 Timothy 1-7.
Yep.
What does that mean to you, Christina?
So that quote is so important to me because it's how I function. It's how I make decisions. It's how I move in the world. It's understanding that I have access to something that's greater, and that the decisions I make to help communities is not for me, but it's to help someone else. So to know that I have something supporting me that will give me all the tools that I need, you got to do it.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's extremely inspiring. Thank you so much. So we had the pleasure of meeting Christina Fontenelle during last year. She Gallery had an open call for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And one of the women that we worked with, who you've met before, Kathy Byrne, she said, I want to work with you for domestic violence. We had worked on something for the Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we put together this amazing event with Kate Battle with Logan Square, Comfort Station in Logan Square, that provided the space. And Christina came, and she said, I want to offer my services. I've been through a lot of situations, and she came and she did this amazing piece that we're going to share with you. So during this time that we had the pleasure of meeting Christina, she shared with us her story. You want to talk to us a little bit about your story while I get this video up?
Yeah. So I've experienced a lot of things in my life that has led me to want to pour into others. Things such as homelessness, trauma, just understanding immigration, and really just trying to find ways of how can I explain this outside of words, because it's something that has been so deeply impacted in my body. And when I saw this call, I knew that because I grew up in Logan Square, that this was such a place for me to be able to go back and start over. And me, myself, has also experienced domestic violence and what it means to differentiate between the role of abuser and being abused, and just what that does to the mindset. So to be in a space where I can help others heal, to be an example of like, you can get through it, and it's a lifelong journey, it was such a pleasure to be able to do so.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for us to have you there. It was a really, really moving moment. And please remember or note that we are having another domestic violence awareness vigil this year, also at Logan Square, and we currently do have an open call for Domestic Violence Awareness Month performers, speakers, poets, dancers, advocates, and creative healers. You do not have to be a victim. Maybe you just want to help out. Maybe you have a sister or brother or somebody that went through this that you want to help out. This is a way that we are here to support you, both with educational and healing workshops where you will be able to meet Christina Fontenelle October 6th and for our vigil. Christina will not be able to be with us for our vigil this year, but she will be with us for the workshop, so we look forward to that. And right now we're just clicking on our Instagram page so that we can take you to this time of 1 year ago. You want to talk to us a little bit about the dance that you did?
Yeah. So that's a song that was very dear to me. It's by Andra Day, Rise Up, and I did an improv based on the energy that I received in the room, and I just wanted to show you visually what I was feeling.
Let's take a look.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we can walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we can walk it out and move.
Oh my God.
Even watching it is like, oh, I remember.
Oh God, thank you so much for that. I can't even. Being there was, you had to cry.
Yeah.
You just did. It was such a powerful event. The entire event was such a powerful event. And then you had Christina's piece. You saw that mountain. Like, she pushed this mountain and you saw that mountain and you felt that mountain and you remembered everything that you had to overcome or that you were overcoming during that moment. And that's what the event was about. To share that we all have these experiences. And then to learn that Christina really pushed mountains to get to where she was at. Not too long ago.
I did.
During this event, we learned of her story, and we learned that not too long ago, we are in 2019. We are talking about 2 years ago. Christina that we have here found herself in a really tough situation, just because she stood true to herself. Because she stood true to herself, she came across the situation where she had to be homeless. Out in Miami, and this is after she had received an education from growing up here in Chicago.
Yep.
You got your education and you knew that you wanted to help the people. You knew in your heart you wanted to help the community, and you followed your dreams. You went all the way to Miami and said, this is where I want to do this. And when you got there, you found that a lot of companies and places were not as ethical as you were.
Right.
And for you to advocate for the people, you had to not be around these situations, and so you had to leave these situations. And it's something that we come across a lot, all of us, and in talking to you in different situations of your life, you were forced to leave an uncomfortable situation, and you were never afraid of what was behind that door. You just knew you had to go. And that's really important, to stay that true to yourself, allowed you to get to where you really wanted to be.
And to not let fear overtake my decision.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So here you come back from Miami. Miami, you really learn a lot. You get to the situation where you're homeless. You meet a beautiful person, your friend Jasmine, who opened the door for you and said, you stay with us until you can get yourself on your feet. And while you're out there, you write this book, this story. aligning your inner body. And you write this book, and this is how you felt God came to help you and said, this is what you have to do. So you authored this, and then you happened to meet somebody that happened to be an editor that happened to say, I'll get this done for you tomorrow. And it sounds like a fairy tale, but this happened. This really happened.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you stay true to yourself. The universe is able to help you because you're able to help the universe. You're doing it for goodness. So then you come back to Chicago because your parents faced some illnesses and you wanted to come back and help them.
Yeah.
And you did until you knew that you had to leave another uncomfortable situation. But you still had your education to fall back on. And with that education, you became an Art Institute counselor. In between 4 jobs that you lost, you did all of this. And then you opened up your own company. You authored your own book. And now you are truly doing what you love.
Yes.
And you are really helping the people.
Yeah.
So in 2018, we learned a little bit about Christina. And she had just went through 1 year ago at that point. So just in 1 year, I come back and I tell Christina, hey, we're doing this again. We'd love to have you. And she's like, yes, of course. And I visit her website. And I was like, wow, you have grown so much. Not only is she no longer teaching at the Art Institute, now you're outsourcing to everybody.
The community.
Now you're really outsourcing, really doing what Miami didn't allow you to do here in Chicago.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're doing and what you've done since 2018 through now?
Yeah.
And how you're really helping the community.
So I transitioned out of the School of the Art Institute. It was just some things that I saw that I was no longer able to serve in the capacity that I wanted to. And I found myself out of a job, not having money again, not having resources to be able to pay what I need, being negative in a bank. And fortunately, through the church I was in, they were able to help me get on my feet. And now I provide services in a community that are art-based, movement-based, trainings, just really what do you need to be successful. I also offer a discount for my book, but what's really important is that I'm able to go to different companies, I'm able to go to different organizations, I can work with youth, I can work with adults, and I'm able to show them through the art, through the movement, that you're able to heal and that you can be the best you can be given these tools. Yeah.
And most recently, or I guess this situation or this problem, the social issue has been around for some time now, but now with our current presidents, we're having a lot more issues with border resistance. So you have already experienced trauma yourself and other types of trauma and domestic situations. But now we're talking about immigration, family separation traumas.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your involvement with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I provide my services to migrant youths who have experienced trauma due to separation at the border. And a lot of them came over and they didn't speak English or Spanish. And the only or Spanish, because they spoke the dialect from the village that they were from. And I had no other way of communicating with them but through music, through painting, through art.
What village was that, or like what kind of villages were you like?
Majority of them came from Guatemala, from literally living in the forest and like having shacks and like running water was through rain or rivers. So really helping them just adjust to like what a building is and what a school is and consistency and how to greet someone that's not within your village. It has been very fruitful to see them like, oh, this is a brush. What do I do with it? Or like, oh, this is dancing. Like we have dancing in my country, but I can do it with other people here. So just taking what they know and giving it back to them as a tool.
Wow, that's truly amazing.
Yeah.
So what are these situations for you like? Like you're talking about people from different cultures. How are you able to communicate through art and movement?
So really trying to find something that they can connect with and making sure that they feel valued and appreciated in what they're doing. Especially when I'm going into their homes, there's a lot of situations where they're living in basements or attics and there's 3, 4, 5 families together. So helping them like what are boundaries within your own space and your own body, and helping them just see a smile, just to be like, I'm alive today. I'm in a school. I can do this with my hands. Truly the word is freedom.
Freedom.
How they can be freed through the art and movement.
So when speaking with Christina, when she was talking to me about some of these experiences that she was hearing about from other people that had migrated here, it really resonated with me because I remember being an immigrant. Some of you may have watched the earlier segments when I talk about crossing the border, and I talk about, I was born not even in a hospital. I was born in a very, very, very poor town where there was no water or anything like that. You truly do depend on the rivers. No electricity. I remember coming to the United States and being like wowed by lights.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever saw snow. And it really truly makes you appreciate everything. And when I go back to visit, and when I would go back to visit Mexico and, having my little cousins, like, what's moose?
Yeah.
And it's like a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're poor as can be here in Chicago, but you're on the other side.
You're like rich.
So you must be rich just for being on the other side. And they call it that, el otro lado. They refer to it as el otro lado because anything that's not there is goodness. It's over there, and you come here and you face all of this discrimination. But it's like something that you brought up. And it's like when people say, well, why are they going through all of this? Why don't they just stay in their own country? Well, it's because you don't understand what these people just went through. So that's something that you had told me. What was that like experience like for you to hear all of these stories, or what kind of stories like really resonated with you that said, I want to help them?
I think one of the first intakes, which is when I go and I meet with them and I get to know their history, is when the father shared with me that he was crossing the river, that it was in the middle of the night. They heard helicopters. He was with his 6-year-old daughter, and that the water was freezing cold, and he was running away with her, and the water started going over her head. And so he had to pick her up and put her on his head and just run as fast as he can to the other side because he knew that the people were behind him. So hearing stories of just like what the kids were exposed to at such a young age and how you can see it in their eyes, that is where I'm like, I want to help them be the best adult that they can be. That this will not limit them or stagnate them, but that they are able to overcome and that they have resilience. So when I hear those comments from my own people, from Latinos, and it's like, you forget that we came from that too. But because we're so separated by generations, it may not have been your parents or your grandparents, but your great-great-great-grandparents, there's a disconnect. And then it's not until we hear these stories of like, I was going to get killed, or my family was homeless, or my family was experiencing danger, there was no food, there was no resources. That's why we came. So for me, myself, to also understand that there had to have been nothing else for this to be the option. So it's a lot of respect that I have for these families.
So you come here, an immigrant family or an immigrant may come here for hope. They come here for hope for a better life. Just like you and I want better for ourselves, we want better for our kids because that's what people that care about other people do. No matter what part of the world you're in, no matter where you come from, that's what you want for your child. No matter what, you always want something better for your child. For yourself, for your child, to have freedom, to have comfort, to have peace.
Safety.
Everybody wants that. Another thing that we talked about as immigrants is that a big problem with the disconnect also, and she mentioned earlier, a problem with our own Latinos, and you hear this in other communities, I feel like. But I feel like just as an immigrant at all, period, just an immigrant, no matter what part of the world, just an immigrant, and you come to another part of the world, it doesn't matter where you're at. In my situation, it was coming to the United States. And I feel like where you come from a different part of the world, all you want to do is be accepted.
Yes.
So you seek acceptance, even if that means hiding your own culture. So we talk about these what do you call them, like what my father calls them, personality like disorders, or I don't know what he calls them, but it's something where you have you lose your personality, you lose yourself because you're trying so hard to fit into something else, to be something else, to be accepted. And I think that's a really big problem that we have in our immigrant community, in our Latino community, is that it's okay, embrace your culture. That's what everybody's trying to buy right now anyway. Everybody's always trying to buy somebody else's culture.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, I dig that. Let me have it, you know,
'cause
but we don't want
it.
you here.
Right.
And it's like, no, embrace that. Own it. It's your culture, you know. Don't ever let anybody take away your culture. Share it. Do not be ashamed of it. Hablan español. El idioma es tan lindo. Mucha gente no quiere hablar con sus niños en español porque dicen que tienes que ser americano, luego no vas a ser aceptado, van a pensar que eres un nopal. Like, no, that's not cool. Embrace your culture.
Anywhere and everywhere.
Yes, thank you so much. Si se puede, eso sí. And Christina is a great example that it can. You really, really went from, I mean, that wasn't even like that long ago. And just in 2 years, I can only imagine what you're going to do in the next 5 years. I know you're going to get busier and busier, so thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is there any words of advice or anything else that you would like to share with the public today?
Yes, I would like to share that you are an artist in whatever way, form, shape that may look like. It could be gardening, cooking, cleaning, organizing. Just really tap into yourself and who you're meant to be and express that. That's where true healing and that's where your identity will come forth. So express in every way and don't care what anyone has to say.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Really quickly, earlier you mentioned that when you were out in this situation, when you were homeless out in Miami, you did everything that you could, and you did just that. You expressed yourself in any way that you could. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was at a place where I had to walk away from a job that was offering $60,000, but they were asking me to do a lot of unethical things. And by walking away from that, the most that I've ever would have made, I had to find other ways to eat, gas, rent, and so I literally would go to a place in Wynwood, which is in Miami, and I laid out a blanket and I would just put my art. And I would just like go to thrift stores and buy a couple things and paint that. And if no one was coming by, I would start dancing to grab people's attention. Then I would reel them in and just like, hey, this is what I do, this is who I am, come see me. And that saved my life. I survived off of my art in 2 months. That's what kept me alive.
Yeah, it's so interesting how society, I don't know if they still do, but society usually goes against the arts. But the people that are really making it are artists.
Yes.
I mean, artists are who's doing it, musicians. And all of this is just expressing your soul, just like she does. Just like she did when she was out in Miami. And what led her to write this book. It's like you always hear, oh, they're crazy or whatever, or they have problems. It's like, well, it's just because you are honest enough to tap into your inner self. A lot of people walk around being entertained, not tapping into their inner selves, don't want to deal with themselves. And
running from themselves.
Don't get to know yourself. Every single day we are growing. Every single day I grow, you grow. And if we're not evolving, then we're not living. Allow yourself to evolve. Get to know yourself. I always encourage journaling, which I'm sure helped you get by.
Absolutely.
It's a really nice way to get to know yourself and allow yourself to grow. You don't have to share it with the world. You don't have to go paint canvases and have it show, but maybe paint canvases for yourself. For inner healing. Just for yourself. I had a conversation with a woman yesterday about art, and I was sharing my story. I made art all my life, but I didn't call myself an artist. And doing something like putting She Gallery together was like really scary, you know, to pull people out of their elements and say, you are an artist, yes you can, when they've been told that they couldn't all of their life or that they don't belong. It's a duty. It's a duty, So this is what we're here for. We're here to tell you that you can and that you are good enough to do anything that you want. You don't have to be an artist. Just know that you can do anything that you want, even without any resources, but educate yourself. Christina had her education to fall back on. I could never afford a degree, but I educated myself and did what I had to do to get my certifications, to put myself through Business for Our College or a paralegal certification, or do whatever you have to do. As long as you do it with the heart, the universe will help you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for having me. Bye.